Carter.
Scottie B going to work in the paint.
Eastern Conference Final. New NBA champion. And it's a team from Toronto, Canada. We, the North, are now we, the champions.
What is going on, Raptors Nation? It is Luca here, back with another podcast. Hope you're all doing well on this Thursday, February 22nd. Yes, it is the official start of the second half of the NBA season, the final part of the NBA season, as the Raptors will be back in action tonight as they host the Brooklyn Nets at Scotiabank Arena. Dennis Schroeder will be in town, and both teams are healthy, so it should be a fun game. But in this pod, we're going to be talking about some of the main topics that happened this past weekend. We're going to be talking about Vince Carter wanting to be remembered for his time with the Raptors. We'll take a look back at Scottie Barnes' All-Star Weekend experience. And finally, Raptors, are they going for the play-in tournament? I'll speculate what Darko recently said about that. Before we dive right into today's show, do me a solid, everybody, hit a like on the video. It helps it a ton. And please subscribe over here on YouTube for more Raptors content. Also, you can find this podcast wherever you get your podcasts, on Apple, iTunes, or Spotify. The Raptors Nation podcast coming to you every single Thursday. So you definitely don't want to miss it. So we are going to waste little time and get right into it. And yeah, let's start, guys. Vince Carter had some very interesting things that he recently said. He was on Run It Back, and he appeared as a guest discussing him leading the 2024 Naismith Hall of Fame finalist as a first-time ballot nominee. Now, Carter was asked by Lou Williams, which jersey are you rocking in Hall of Fame if you had to choose one? Carter didn't even let Williams finish the question before he responded, Toronto, Toronto, Toronto. It has to be. It's where it all started. Yes, I had great years in New Jersey, but it started there. So this was music to Raptors fans' ears. This caught some traction online, and people started speculating if Vince Carter's jersey should be the first retired. Obviously, the Raptors have not retired any jersey yet, and you look at Vince Carter, I mean, he not only made a name for himself in Toronto, but he also made a name for the Raptors. Vince Carter put the Raptors on the map. And in my opinion, he is the biggest reason why basketball is as popular in Canada today as ever. Vince Carter really set the tone, set the foundation. And really, in the early 2000s, if things didn't go right, and let's just say Vince Carter was never in Toronto and they sucked a ton out of the gate, maybe we would have saw something similar happen to the Toronto Raptors like we saw with the then Vancouver Grizzlies of them moving. So Vince Carter definitely had a huge impact, cultural impact, and really just elevating basketball, not only in the city of Toronto, but the country of Canada. So I know it was an unpleasant end to Vince Carter's tenure, who, by the way, he is my all-time favorite player. He's the reason why I got into basketball and got into my career as a basketball sports journalist. When he left, you know, it really hurt a lot of people. And it was definitely one of those things that was tough to swallow. But you look back at it now, a lot of people have forgiven Carter for how it ended. I mean, I'm one of those people, again, diehard Carter fan, really, really left a sour taste in my mouth when that whole sequence happened with his departure, how it ended, all that. But, you know, you reflect back on his time here, what he meant to this team. I mean, Vince Carter is the first guy that really got the Raptors on the map and got him some nationwide publicity and attention, especially when he went out there and did what he did in the 2000 dunk contest, made a couple of all-star appearances as a member of the Raptors, obviously won Rookie of the Year. So Vince Carter, I mean, did a lot of great things here. And going back to now the discussion that's being had online about which Raptors jersey should be retired first, I'm without a doubt saying Vince Carter. And look, I know you can make a case for Kyle Lowry, who is the GOAT in many people's eyes, the greatest Raptor of all time. Obviously, Kawhi Leonard is the reason why the Raptors have a championship. There's some other names that pop up, DeMar DeRozan, Chris Bosh, Siakam. But if you talk about the first, I think Vince's jersey goes up first. I think the fan base has had a lot of time to sit with it, forgive Vince for how it ended and also reflect on his importance to this franchise. And, we're going to be coming up on the 30th anniversary of the Raptors being in the NBA. And, with Vince in all likelihood heading to the Hall of Fame, I mean, he should be a guarantee once they make the announcements. I think they do it around April. Vince Carter's jersey's got to be the first one up there. And I'm saying that without hesitation over some of the other players that have played for this team. So maybe I'll do a ranking when the time comes. But yes, definitely Vince Carter. He should definitely have his jersey retired first. I love that he was so enthusiastic with his answer because he understands it's where he got his start and it's where he put this team on the map. So it was kind of like a perfect marriage at the time. And Vince Carter, you got to think, guys, he was one of the best players in the league at that time. Like the Raptors had a true superstar. They had a true top 5 talent. When you looked at the league back then, you had guys like Allen Iverson, Kobe Bryant, Shaq. Vince Carter was a top 5 player in the league during his early days with the Raptors. So the Raptors obviously, are hoping to have that talent once again and a guy like Scottie Barnes. But you look at Carter, he was the first real superstar that really carried the Raptors. And, you look at his career with Toronto, spent 7 years with the franchise. Like I said, won Rookie of the Year in 1999, dunk contest in 2000, and he helped the Raptors clinch their inaugural playoff berth in 2000. And then he led for them to a 47-win season in 2001. And then, of course, he helped the Raptors win their first ever playoff series, almost a second playoff series. As you remember, that final shot, Game 7 against the Sixers, brings me back to when I was a child. But that shot comes off and the Raptors lose. Who knows what would have happened if the Raptors win that game? I mean, they probably find themselves in the finals against the LA Lakers at that time. They probably replaced the Philadelphia 76ers path. So really, really awesome stuff. Vince Carter saying what he said. He finished his career third in all-time games played at 1,541, number 20 when it comes to the league's all-time point scored list at 25,728. And he had stints, obviously, with the Raptors, Nets, Magic, Suns, Mavericks, Grizzlies, Kings, and Hawks. Really established himself as a journeyman and had a long career when it looked like he was going to have a short career with all the injuries he dealt with early on in his career, but ended up having a very long, nice career. So Carter was recently in Toronto when the Raptors had that game on TNT, and it was all love from the fans. So like I said, I think the fans have forgiven him. He's won a lot of people over with his recent comments on running back. Vince Carter, definitely going to be a Hall of Fame, and he should definitely have his jersey retired first. That's right. All right. Let's talk about hopefully another player that will one day have his jersey retired by this Raptors franchise, and that is Scottie Barnes. His All-Star experience is in the books, and it was great to see Scottie at the All-Star game. So I thought it'd be fun just to look back at it. I was going to do something on the weekend, but I'm like, you know what? I'll just fit it into this pod here. And, we'll look at my main takeaways from Barnes being an All-Star weekend. So let's first start with his viral moments on All-Star Saturday night. Barnes had the blunder early on in the skills challenge where he dribbled the ball off his leg. But that wasn't the biggest takeaway from Saturday. It was Barnes when his team were faced with the half-court shot challenge. Barnes did a backward shot that didn't come close. Obviously, Barnes having fun with it, not caring about it, and it went viral. And a lot of people, poking fun at it. I'm just sitting here saying, like, that's Barnes' personality. If you don't see that Scottie Barnes is just having fun and that's his personality, like, there's something seriously wrong with you, because Barnes, I mean, you see it. If you watch him game to game, he's very laid back. He's got this sort of goofy personality. So I thought it was great that he decided to have fun with that spot. You see the guys, Trey and Maxey, trying to take it seriously of getting the half court shot. Barnes is like, let me just have some fun with this. And that's what he did. So he talked about his goofy personality via Kayla Gray of TSN. And this is what Barnes said just about his personality. And hopefully people can start to realize like this is just his character. It's who he is. And he says, I'm always happy. I'm goofy, a little bit. They call my name. I couldn't help but smile. But even if I try to hide it, just come out. I'm just going to always smile. You see my mom, you're going to see her always smiling. It's just who we are. And that's who this kid is. I mean, he's very enthusiastic. He's very jolly. He usually always does have a smile on his face. And I mean, how can you not like that about Barnes? He doesn't take everything seriously. And sometimes you need that. Sometimes, obviously, you need to be, locked in, ready to go. But we've seen kind of both sides to Scottie here. But I thought in this environment, I mean, I was okay with seeing Scottie's goofy side come out. And you look at Scottie Barnes, I mean, he did have a very nice all-star game outing, talking about Sunday now. Scottie Barnes, he looks so happy to be there. I mean, when they did the player introductions on Sunday before the game, like he looked starstruck. He looked like a guy who was in awe. You could tell, like Barnes really, really was just taking in the moment. And you could just tell on his face that like he was just super, super happy to be there. Cloud nine. It was an awesome bit too when the camera was kind of panning around during the national anthem of Canada, "Oh Canada" being sung, Scottie Barnes singing along. It's funny because the cameraman actually went to Scottie Barnes first when really the only Canadian there was Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. But Barnes, I mean, right on cue, singing along with "Oh Canada." So that was great to see. And then Barnes, he had a nice outing. He had 16 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, and 18 minutes of action, a steal as well. Can't forget that. And his 16 points were the most by a Raptor at an All-Star game since Kawhi Leonard back in 2019. And here's some quotes he had about his performance. He's like, it was fun, just went out there, did me, played hard, playing together, just did the basics, the things I always do, and it turned out really well. It was fun. And then he talked about his first basket, which was a dunk off a pass from Jalen Brunson. He's like, I got a rebound. I think I took the rebound from someone, passed it up to him, just prayed he passed it back. I got the dunk, first points. It was good. This is per Lindsey Dunn of Sportsnet. So Scottie obviously enjoyed himself, had a great time. And then something else that stood out to me was, what Reggie Miller said about Scottie. Obviously, Reggie Miller, Hall of Famer, legend. And he showed a lot of love to Scottie Barnes. And this is what Reggie Miller said to Scottie before he was getting prepared for the All-Star game. He's like, congratulations, man. It's awesome. Enjoy this whole process, man. You'll be here when you're like LeBron in your 20th. I want to see that. Same smile, too. So, man, that's great. Obviously, a guy like Reggie Miller who had an illustrious NBA career recognizing Scottie for his talents and giving him that comparison or that compliment of, I hope you're going to be here too, just like LeBron 20 years from now. So that's awesome. And that just tells you that, people are starting to recognize Scottie Barnes's skill set and how good of a player he actually is. So I thought it was great to see that. Again, it was good for Scottie. I've said it many times, just to be in that environment around the best players in the NBA, I think is going to do wonders for his NBA career. Just learning from some of the best, how they conduct themselves, how they play the game. Obviously, it wasn't a competitive game. I thought the All-Star game in itself was really bad, but we'll save that discussion for another time on if they should change the format and all that. But just the whole weekend in itself, Barnes being around the type of guys he was, I think that's going to do wonders for his career. So it's definitely going to be one of many All-Star appearances from Scottie Barnes, and it was cool to see him in that atmosphere. All right, guys, so I wanted to conclude today's show. We'll keep it relatively quick just because there's the game tonight and tomorrow, and obviously there'll be more stuff to talk about that I can include in the post-game vids, which, by the way, I plan on dropping one tonight after the Nets game and then the game tomorrow. I wanted to end on this. So this was pretty interesting, I would say, but, obviously a coach is going to say this and he's not going to flat out come out and say, yeah, we're purposely trying to lose games to tank. But I wanted to kind of leave everybody with this because it will be a topic of discussion over the last 27 games. Obviously, the Raptors are not going to get into the top 6. We know that. But the play-in, it's still pretty far out. I mean, they are 5 games out of the play-in tournament with 27 games left, but still technically got a chance for that. As we know, the play-in teams are not very good. So it was interesting that Darko Rajakovic said this, according to Ryan Wolstad of the Toronto Sun. Darko said that the Raptors are playing to win, get the experience of the play-in, and also he talked about getting better every day. And that is obviously the more attainable goal, as Wolstad went on to say. So you look at this Raptors team, 5 games back of that final play-in spot, 27 games left on the season. And the other side of it is the Raptors currently have the 6th worst record in the league. And we know if the Raptors do get into the top 6 of this year's draft, they keep their 2024 first round pick, which is owed to the Spurs, but it is top 6 protected. And if that's the case of the Raptors keeping their pick, that pick would then go to 2025 for the Spurs. Same implications, top 6 protected. So, I mean, obviously a coach is going to come out and say that his guy's going to play hard and, he wants to see his team win. But realistically, I don't see the Raptors a part of this play-in equation. I do think this team would benefit from having a lottery pick and just kind of the way their season has gone with the trajectory of it all. They are on a 3-game losing streak coming into this game, by the way. I don't see the Raptors going on a heater. And that's what it's going to take, right? When you're 5 games back and you have so much ground to make up with so few games left. 27 isn't a lot of games left. It's going to be 25 after Friday. You got to go on a massive run. So it's going to be interesting to see how the Raptors look tonight and tomorrow, because if the Raptors kind of come out of the break, dropping these games, it's going to be essentially very, very tough. But, if the Raptors maybe come out and they start to rack up some wins, maybe their first 3-game winning streak of the season finally, then, you can have that conversation about maybe going for the play-in. But right now, just given where this team is at, given what we've seen, player development, you want to develop the youth. I don't think should be the priority of the Raptors. I think they just got to go out there, attack these games with their best effort, obviously, give us more of the performances we saw against the Indiana Pacers and really just try to have these guys build some continuity with each other. And that's what I'm looking forward to seeing over this final stretch. Can Scottie quickly and RJ develop some nice chemistry to close the season out? What's nice about it is the Raptors, they don't have any injuries. Everybody's healthy with the lone exception of Marquise Noel. So this is an opportunity for the Raptors to build continuity and finally, play with guys who are going to be here for the next little bit. Because the biggest thing about the first part of the season was there was a major overhaul. Like half of this roster completely turned over. So it's nice that, these guys now know, okay, nobody's getting traded for the next little bit. We can finish with the same group, maybe build on some good habits. And I am looking for this team to, build some nice momentum that they can carry into next season. But am I expecting this team to go on a run and make the plan? Absolutely not. I don't think they're there yet. I still think they need a lot more room to grow. I'm not saying it can't happen, but, given just how many games are left and how much ground they got to make up, it's going to be awfully tough. So obviously Darko saying all the right things as a head coach. He's going to want to attack these games, see some nice effort, but realistically, yeah, I'm just seeing this Raptors team play hard. Hopefully, give us some hard-fought performances. If that results in L's, I'm not necessarily upset. And I still do think this team would benefit from a lottery pick. Like I just said, I think if the Raptors, can get into that top 6, keep their pick, it would help having a pick this year because there are some hidden gems. If the Raptors do finish with the 6th pick, as he's projected to be there, and it's a player who I'm a big fan of, and that's Rob Dillingham. So that is a guy who's got, a very nice game to him. He's been rising up mock drafts. So I think the Raptors would benefit from a pick. So I'm not saying they're going to come out and purposely tank here, but, I think Darko just kind of covering up with his comments that, the Raptors are going to have a lot more ups and downs to close the season, and that's to be expected. So I think that will be how the season ultimately ends. Again, 27 games, lot to build on, lot to improve on, lot to see, lot to experiment with still. So we will see how the Raptors close out their year. But yeah, what do you want to see? Do you want to see the Raptors go for the play-in, or are you good with this team tanking and, trying to lose some more games here and getting into that. Well, they're already in the top 6, but trying to maybe potentially get that worst 5 record. It is going to be tough just because I don't see the Blazers doing a whole ton of winning of their own. So we'll see how it shakes up, but let me know your thoughts down below. All right, guys, that is going to conclude today's show. Let me know your thoughts. Drop a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. Rate this podcast 5 out of 5 on Spotify and Apple iTunes. That is it for me. I'll catch you guys again later tonight after the Raptors-Nets game. Thank you so much for watching. This is Luca signing off. Until next time, stay safe.